I drove field cuts through my neighborhood.
All right. Can you guys all hear me? Is everything all set?
I believe so. Everything should be fairly all set.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearlessly Authentic. I'm here with Steve.
Hello, everyone.
And we have an awesome special guest tonight. You guys might know him.
Hi, friend. How are you?
Good. How are you? So this is Buck Angel, everybody, and he is like here, and he shares a message of empowerment, self-acceptance, and love. He's an activist and educates people on sexuality and how to be comfortable in their own skin, and uses that like speaking truth about his journey and about transformation, entrepreneur, activist, for human rights. I mean, like, you got it all. I mean, like. You're first off, you're the best of both worlds, and you know, like you kind of have it all there, mister. I'm so excited to have you. I've been looking forward to this. I've been telling the community, like my small community here, like, you guys, I can't wait for this. Like, this is going to be great.
Right on. No, I appreciate you,
what
reaching
were you looking
out,
for, Steve?
extending a hand to me and reaching out and having conversation. That's what this is all about. You know that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I feel like we're going through, like, and we're like smack dab in the middle of Pride Month. It's just crazy. I know. It's ridiculous because, like, people are like, what, you don't like Pride?
No.
I know you're part of the LGB, and I'm like, yeah, I might be part of it, but this isn't what.
It's a nuanced thing. It's not what it once meant.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the
different.
pride that you fought for. It's not the same thing. It's not even the same pride that I was able to take my daughter to when, she was like 6 and stuff. Like, and we went to Providence Pride and stuff, and it was big and showy, but it wasn't all corporations. It wasn't like obscene, like, displays of anything. Like, there was drag queens there, and there was people from like all different walks of life, just people, you know. And
right. Yep, totally.
that's the thing, is that they were just
about. That's what it was about. Someone said my mic is low. Is it better? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is that better? Are you guys better?
I think it's checking.
Maybe.
Something.
I don't know if it's you or me.
Is that better, guys?
Is that better, you guys?
That should be a little better. About as good.
Hello, testing. Anyway, look. So loud enough. It's just me. I have a tranny voice. It's my tranny voice, people. Come on.
Bad tranny.
You're all transphobic. Every single one of you.
I know you're transphobic now.
Your microphone is transphobic. It's okay.
It hates me.
Audio hates all of us. It's it's the devil, man.
Audio is the bane of any streamer, no matter their sexuality.
Oh my god.
Audio
gets no one.
Audio discriminates against all of us. That's the thing.
That's right.
Equal opportunity discrimination.
And I'm all about that, my friend. So, getting back to pride, pride is it is important. So I do believe that
yes.
Came from it came from protest and all blah, 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 came to help us get our rights, which we did. But one of the things that I never saw that I see now is the corporate BS. And I don't feel that people understand the history of what pride is about. They're just going to pride. And now it's not even just for gay people, it's for everyone. So to me, and not that non-gay people shouldn't be there, or non-LGBT people, they should. But at the same time, I don't think people really understand, why are we all there? How many people lost their lives early on in the fight for this? How many people died of AIDS? How come we're not honoring our dead, which we should? Because the whole reason why we are supposed to be doing these kinds of things is to say our history is this. No one even talks about our history. It's all about, woo, I'm trans. I'm living my life, my beauty. What did they say? What did she say? That girl who was at the White House, she said, I'm living my truth. I'm living my truth.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the rest of us are just, I mean, okay, so I got really upset by like the White House, like what happened there. I felt like it was just like, where's all just the ordinary people that are just the LGB part two? You know what I mean? Like, where are they? And why did they have to like be inappropriate? Like, I'm not a prude. Like, you know what I mean? But there's a time and a place for everything. And that is, and you know, and I'm not really like pro our government and all that, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like,
it seems inappropriate.
I grew up as a military brat, and like that kind of like respect is kind of just like ingrained into me. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not pro-military and I'm not pro like our government. You know what I mean? But like,
you don't have to.
That respect is there. Like there, that was just that wasn't appropriate.
It was not even. It wasn't. It's not even that it wasn't appropriate. It was disrespectful.
Yes.
I don't care. You know, I think I saw something. So my family is in the military and I'm police and you know all of that kind of stuff. And you know I have my pros and cons with military and our government and all that stuff too, for sure. But that being said, we still live in probably the best country in the world. I've lived all over the world. I've been many places. I've lived in Mexico for 10 years. I'm telling you, I always come back here. So that being said, I did hear someone say that they threw this crazy party for the LGBT, but they have never had those kind of things for vets. Have they ever had a party like that on the front lawn for vets?
No, I don't think so.
No, somebody
not since the 40s anyway. Not since there was a world war.
That's right.
Vets been shining in the light like that.
Why wouldn't they get like trans vets?
Right. There's a whole niche of people that they could have been like, here, we're supporting these two things that are equally important.
It's like a social media influencer shouldn't be your first go-to. It shouldn't be Dylan Mulvaney going to the White House and like representing us. And I'm like, who even is this person? Like, that's how I kind of find out like about really who Dylan Mulvaney was. Like, I was just like, what? Like, I've had trans friends that were like actual, you know, transsexual friends that actually like it was years of counseling. It was, you know what I mean? Years of like, you know, in that in between transition, you know, like this was like a good 15 or so years ago. So like things were really different for them then, maybe even 16 or 17 years ago. But you know what I mean? Like it was a scary time for them. They didn't have the rights. They didn't have the protection. And, you know, like, and like, so I remember being really scared for my friend, and we would go out to the club and we went out to like, you know, different places, and I would have to be like, you know, really like keep being vigilant because attacks were very imminent. Like it had happened. It happened. The community was very small. And like, it was like, you know, there was years of therapy to get the diagnosis, you know what I mean? And then there was years of like, of socially transitioning over time. Like, it wasn't like overnight. It wasn't like, you know, like just going, you know, this was a male to female, and it like, you know, going to get the facial hair removal done, and just like, I mean, I remember being there for her and like just the whole process of it. And it wasn't like some weird thing. My daughter like looked up, like that was like, you know, like we were family, you know? So like, it doesn't have to be like, when I say like I want to keep kids safe and everything like that, people like assume that I mean like, oh, like I want to erase the people. No, like my daughter grew up in this, like it was part of our life, but it wasn't like some weird showy thing, you know?
First off, I'm 61 years old. I transitioned 30 years ago. Okay. Everything you're saying is exactly correct. I had to go through a system. I was 30 years old when I transitioned. I knew exactly I did and didn't, because I was the first person to use these doctors. So I was on some level an experiment. But that being said, I could make those choices without, with understanding on some level the consequences. You actually think even a 20-year-old, you think a 20-year-old can make this is a life-changing choice. And, people are making me so pissed because they're pushing, oh, Buck, well, you did it. Now you're pulling up the ladder. I am not pulling up any ladder. I'm securing the ladder, people. I have no way, shape, or form do I not want anybody to have what I have, nor do I want anybody not to be able to transition. I want them to be able to transition in the exact way I did on some level, because it's been such a great experience for me. I've never looked back. 30 years. Why today do we have so many young people that never even existed in my time? Detransition.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know about until more recently, and I follow a lot of the detrans people that are on on social media and Twitter, and I offer them support because just being I have gotten so much backlash and hate from people that were friends with me one day, and then all of a sudden decided that
you're a bigot and
I was a bigot, I was a hateful person, I was transphobic, and then I go, one of my best friends is a transsexual. Yeah. I was the best man in their wedding, and I wore a dress. Are you kidding me? And then they're like, oh, well, that's saying you have a black friend, so you can't be racist. I'm like, no, I'm telling you that these people are part of my life. A
racist person is not going to have a black friend, and also transphobe is not, because phobia, people, geez, man, phobia, fear. You're not going to have a trans friend if you have transphobia. When they call me transphobic, they're saying I'm fearful of myself.
It's utterly ridiculous.
Utterly, dude.
I know. I'm when I hear that, I'm just what? Or the weird little things that people will say. Well, isn't Buck this? And I'm no. Buck isn't against that. Buck isn't against adults doing what adults do.
Some of the funniest things I've heard were comments on things that were telling people that they were transphobic, but phobic in that regard doesn't mean the same thing. Somehow the definition and the tense of the word has changed now to accommodate this narrative.
That's right.
What are you talking about?
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's gaslighting. It is actually 100% gaslighting. And I think once everybody in the whole world understands the definition of gaslighting, you will understand what these people are doing. They're lying. They're misrepresenting trans. They're misrepresenting different ideas. They're just saying stuff so that they make you try to feel bad about what you're saying. It's 100% classic gaslighting.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, and that's how the group think stays in business.
That's right.
You have to have that in place.
I think that they're just truth phobic. I think that's really what it is.
But does phobic mean phobic?
No, but I think they're scared. They're scared of the truth. They're scared. They have a fear or a rejection of the truth.
Well, the reason why is because they are not living in actual reality and truth, and they know it. Yeah. Look, I know what I am. I'm a biological female. I know that I transitioned to live and look like a man. I will never be a biological male. I'm very on. You guys know me. I'm blah, 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 same nonsense, right? I've never had to say I was a biological female more in my life than now. Right? I'm just what is the issue here, people? But those people are denying their biology. I'll tell you why. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because if they say they're biological male, then they don't get to do what they're doing right now, which is to take over women's spaces. And they've gaslit and manipulated everybody's thought process so that now trans women can go into female spaces, and everybody seems to be okay with it because they've been gaslit to say, if you say anything, you're transphobic, or if you say anything,
100%.
They're not women. They're not women. They're trans women, people. They have penises. They were born men. I have a vagina. I was born a woman. It's real simple. Yep. It's a simple equation. And that's why people don't necessarily dislike me. The only people that dislike me are those wingnuts, those they're fake trans people. They're total wingnuts.
It's really crazy how that works too, how that being able to dominate women's spaces and just basically eliminate Like you just eliminated
Wow, dude.
lesbians in the fucking dictionary.
I know butch women are like
what?
hot as hell. I've
How does
dated
that-
many.
How
You
does that
know,
work,
like
though? That's crazy. Like they
Yeah, it's
literally
gross.
said now a lesbian is
is a non-man
a
attracted to a non-man,
non-male, like just
Yeah,
that,
non-woman.
just
non-woman.
yeah, a non-woman that likes
Non-woman.
women.
But they got busted. John Hopkins
Yes.
University Hospital did that, and
Yeah.
everyone just So you guys,
Yes.
the tables are turning.
Yeah,
That's what it looked
I
like.
just saw on Twitter there's a suit against somebody that was transitioned as a child, and they just I was it Chloe Cole, I think, that did the first
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Momentum, yeah.
And then now there's a second one, and I said to Steve earlier when I saw that, I said, now watch. Now maybe the left will cover it. Now maybe they'll cover it, because it's like these doctors will be impacted by money, and when you get them in the pocket, that's when it's going to change, and it's going to take the people that have money to put those lawsuits forward, because lawsuits are not a cheap thing. So we need the people that maybe have a little bit more in the bank to step up to help the people that maybe don't have it in the bank.
Well,
you know,
you know what's happening is lawyers are stepping up and they're doing pro
Yep.
bono work, which
Yep.
is actually badass and really amazing. They're actually giving their services, because this is only the beginning. We all said it.
Right.
Lawsuits.
oh yeah, the tides are turning now.
Friends, I have a list. I have a list of all those therapists and doctors who thought they were so slick and would block me. And I'm like, got your number, friend, right here. When it's lawsuits start, I'm handing this straight to the lawyers so that they can put you onto the law. Because every single one of those therapists who affirmed these 16-year-old kids to get top surgery should be never, ever practice in the therapy.
Yeah,
I
world.
agree.
Ever,
100%.
ever. That's right.
I've looked at some of the surgeries too that they've done on people, like even the bottom surgeries, and I didn't show them to Steve because I don't think he has the stomach for that. Like it's it's really awful. But I'm like, I need to see it so that I can feel the full impact of what is really happening to people. I need to see, you know what I mean? I didn't look at a lot. I looked at enough of it that I was like, okay, I feel like I've seen it, you know, I can say that I've seen it. And it's, I would think that a lot of what the things that they're doing to these people that they would be causing more body dysmorphia.
They do.
I would think that, like,
I mean, the thing is this, my friend, you know, I don't have bottom surgery and I never did it. And I'm really very happy that I didn't. And I live a great life without that. But that being said, my friend Scott Nugent, which I think you probably all know him, he's the one who had horrible surgery, got really sick from it, is suffering from it. He said, I'm going to die soon because it just he sued that doctor, and the doctor lost him and 5 other guys because he just did botched bottom penis surgery. And then what the guy did, he lost his license in California. He went to Texas and got a new license. And he's practicing in Texas right now.
Fuck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to have Scott, you know, on the show. I know Scott is super busy, but like,
no, I'll get you him. He'll totally do it.
He is his story. I've covered it like several times, and it makes me cry like every time. You know, I'll be watching you, and I'll be sitting there like, oh man, Buck's crying, and I got, you know, because I feel it. You know, like I feel the connection, and I feel like, you know, what people are going through. I just have that empathy, you know, and I'm like, I want to just like love everybody. You know what I mean? I want to love everybody, and I want everybody to be who they are and be happy. And I feel like it almost feels like we're in the middle of like a new era of Salem witch trials. Oh, totally. Like if there was public hanging still, we would have already been done. Because they get to point at you and call you transphobic or call you a bigot or call you, you know, a TERF or whatever these slurs are that they want to call you for speaking out. And I'm like, I base everything when I cover these issues, I cover them with evidence. I provide all the links in my show notes. I put everything down there because I'm like, I want people to digest it further. You know, like don't take my word for it. Go, but here's a good starting point. Here's the links. Here's here's the information. And I just feel like if there was actual like public hangings, we would be done. We would be done because
like a witch.
Yeah.
Wood.
Yeah, like we're in Connecticut,
Oh, wow.
and they just reversed some of the Salem witch trial stuff, like just recently.
Wow.
Like they just like acknowledged
350 years ago. That's
my
how swiftly the state moves.
Oh my God. But
So-
here in California, they just passed a law. So it's very similar things are happening in this country, and people don't have their ears and their eyes open. Now in California, they passed a law that if you don't affirm your child's gender identity, they could take your child away.
Yes.
And I don't believe in like either like extreme. I feel like, I don't feel like they should be able to take your kid away. And then I don't think these other places should be able to ban all care. I think that they should be doing kids need therapy then if they feel that way.
Absolutely. There needs to be appropriate care at appropriate ages.
That's right. That's what we used
For
to
children,
do.
It's not brain salad.
These kids are not trans, by the way. I'm going to tell you, maybe 1 in 25,000 of them, they're not trans. These kids are dealing with either maybe sexuality. Maybe they're just dealing with anxiety and stress. And kids want to be all kinds. You have kids. I have kids, right? We get it. They just do that stuff. That's just a very normal space. But to immediately medicalize a child because he wants to not wear a barrette in his hair or wants to wear a dress is absurd.
I was that little girl. I would have been a target for these guys.
And you would have been eliminated because you would have been butch, so that they would have you're like, oh, you're trans.
Yeah, like because I was telling Steve earlier, I'm like, I was totally like, I wasn't like into the sports part of athletic or whatever, but like I was totally the tomboy out there. Like we had acorn fights and I was rough and tumble with the boys, and then I would go in and play Barbies if I wanted to. Like I was just never like, I feel like we missed a step. We missed a step where we can have femme boys and masculine girls. Right. And I feel like we missed that step where like, if a little boy wants to wear sparkly little slip-on shoes, I used to be a nanny for a little boy, and he wore little sparkly little slip-ons, and I was just like, I don't care what you wear on your feet as long as you're wearing shoes.
That's right.
Like why can't we just like we missed that step? We missed the step of that acceptance, and
that's right.
We've gone to like an extreme of it.
We used to have that step. What we've done is override that step. We used to have that step. Kids, I have a bunch of kids at my kid's school. My kid has long hair. Like long, he's 10, he has long hair. From behind, he probably could look like a girl, right? But so what? So the whole point was we were supposed to get rid of those stereotypes, and we were doing completely fine with it. It's an agenda, it's an ideology, and it's people coming in, especially it's the adults, people, and it's adult trans women. This is not run by trans men in any way, shape, or form. It's why you don't see a lot of guys like me stepping up to the plate, because they're all a bunch of babies, and they're all just like following the trans women, like, we have to. Because it's, you know what I mean? It's just like they're dominating. Trans women are biological men who've been raised as men, and they have a very social way of being. It's just how men are. And then I was socialized as a woman. It's why I have a different way of being, and they won't accept that. And they don't understand. They're dominating the conversation. They want to transition these children because it's all about them. And what that does is it validates their own feelings. I really think that's what's happening.
Yeah, like my friend's a trans man, and just lives the life, has the wife, has the kids, and living the life, you know what I mean? Like, because most people, they just want to kind of melt into society, you know what I mean? They just want to be part of it, and they don't want to be like in the spotlight and like, we
transition to live as men. We transition to be just like part of the world. We transition to be like everybody else. We don't transition to stand out. And that's where we can poke holes in this narrative, and why many of us have reclaimed transsexual, and that we don't have anything to do with the transgender umbrella. It's completely gone off the deep end, and it has nothing. 97,000 genders. When someone starts calling them fee pronouns or whatever, I'm like, I'm out of here. You people are mentally ill and weird and weirdos, and I don't know what's going on over there, but it has nothing to do with me. Can you
touch on that, the mental health aspect of it? Because I think people like dance around that, and they don't know oh, is it a mental health illness?
It
And I say it's in the DSM-5, but like I would like to hear it, from you, from your words
Great.
about
Thank
it.
you for saying that. So, and I accept it. So, as a transsexual person, I have been diagnosed with what we call gender dysphoria. And gender dysphoria is a mental disorder. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. It is the whole reason why I'm the person I am, why I'm grounded, why I'm focused, because I got a diagnosis, people. It's like when you have cancer and you're not feeling good and you're like, I don't feel good. And you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you got cancer. You're like, oh, that's why I wasn't feeling good. Now I can start chemo. It's pretty similar to that. This is just a disorder. So that's the problem is that I just need this medication. I need to look like a man. I need to walk the world looking this way so nobody says she to me, because that just gives you that really weird. You want people to call you he. I don't start crying and banging on the table and freak out. I'm just like, eh. But now it doesn't bother me. I'm so old and like so jaded. I don't care about anything.
Like, whatever.
But a mental disorder is a diagnosis. There's nothing wrong. But, that's why they're also trying to stop that on the transgender side, because now it's self-ID. Because remember what happens, power in numbers. So if we just let all these kids self-ID as trans, now we have hundreds of thousands of trans people running around who are not really trans, but because they self-ID. It's like saying you can self-ID to have diabetes or self-ID with.
Or like I'm just a depressed person, or I have anxiety. Or I have bipolar, or like even autism. Like there's people that are like, I am really an autistic person because I've had the testing. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Like I went through all of that as a kid. Like I went through ink blot tests and all this crazy stuff. Like when I was in school, like like they really evaluate you. So. You know what I mean? Like, exactly.
You cannot self-ID as trans. You cannot. That's something else. And you're not non-binary. That's all other. They're not trans. Non-binary people are non-binary. They're not trans. But what has happened is everything's under this umbrella called transgender, right? So non-binary, all the 97,000 what are they called, those pronoun thing, and everything and anything that somebody says they are. Look at the flag. Look at that flag. What?
Oh, I don't like that. That's not my flag. That's what I say. Like, I'm like, that's not it. Like, my flag was just the regular rainbow flag. It was
LGBT,
inclusive.
and that's it, man. I don't even know on the queer thing. LGBT. That is the flag, and the flag did encompass everybody. The new stuff. That's what I'm trying to show you all. The new stuff has nothing to do. You start adding in. It represented people of color. That was the whole point. It represented everybody. Now we got to add a black because they were represented. That's a total lie. So I think what they've done is they captured something and they have created an ideology on some level to get people to sort of be a part of it, because the more people who are a part of it, the more it sort of becomes legitimized on some level. Yeah.
So they have a question here. How much gender dysphoria is a direct result of childhood sexual abuse?
That's a brilliant question. Brilliant question.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, you guys. I transitioned 30 years ago. It's pretty much the same as when they haven't done any studies. And that's how I know this is all false, because if they actually saw this coming 30 years ago, the only people that were doing it were Denmark and Finland, but in very small little studies. If they were going to have what happens today, we would have been doing studies for a long time. The reason they didn't is because it's such a small part of the world that they weren't going to put the money into trying to figure this stuff out. So with the question there, I would say, I'm not sure if gender dysphoria is connected to that, but some kind of dysphoria is for sure. And it's amazing how many young people have had sexual abuse, including myself. Yep. So yeah. It's shocking how many people and how many young kids are that. So today we're not even analyzing that. We're just, if the kid comes in and says, I want to be a boy, the therapist is like, okay, you're a boy. But we're not even digging deep into this kind of stuff. And what's going on with this kiddo that he all of a sudden just wants to be a boy.
So Yipper wants to know, what is the difference between queer and the LGBT?
Queer.
Queer, like that's a thing. Yeah, that's a slur to me too. Like I don't like that.
Queer was used against us for many years to call us, the F fag and all that kind of stuff, right? And
Mhm.
dyke and all that. So queer belongs in that space. Today, this is why I don't acknowledge that, because queer are a lot of the queer people that are claiming this word are straight people. They're not even having same-sex attracted sex. They're just straight people saying that they are queer because they want to be different. It's you have to have same-sex attraction to be queer. So that's why we're sort of trying to separate. It's the same with non-binary. A lot of non-binary people are not LGBT. They're just straight people just saying I want to be non-binary because blah blah blah. So why are non-binary and queer and all these people attached to our community? LGBT is sexuality, and that, you know, the T maybe shouldn't even be on there, but I think because
I like how you in that spaces how you guys did it. It was the LGB and T, and that's how I've changed since that spaces. That's what I've been doing because I'm like that makes complete sense. Like they're like a the T is transsexual and it's like a cousin to the LGB, and that's how I kind of see it.
Because
you
many
know?
of us came from the like I lived as a gay woman for 20 years on some level. So that being said, a lot of us trans people come from the gay community. We lived in a gay space prior to that. So that's why I'm still connected to the gay community, because it was the gay community that helped me sort of become myself. And when I transitioned, it was only gay men who helped me transition. And that's why this whole thing going against gay people, and it's very homophobic, this movement, this new trans ideology is extremely homophobic, and I will not be a part of that.
Yeah, no, I don't want any part of it. And I think that there's a lot of people that are just living their lives that are just completely oblivious to what's really happening.
That's right.
Like they just really don't know. My daughter is 19 and she came to me and told me about what MAPS was and how they were trying to add that on. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I do not, like, we already get labeled as certain things. And I don't want that. That's no. Like, I'm just that's a hard line of no, that's not even a possibility. It's just not a thing. Like, it's not happening.
I don't care what you call it. It's still the
rejecting.
P word. It's still the P word. Don't you dare try. They're so gross that they did. They tried to, rebrand it on some level. It's like, no, we all see you. That's a P word. We see you. You're diddling little kids. We're not cool with it. Yeah, it's a problem, and you should be studying it, but you shouldn't be talking about it like, oh, these are they called it a marginalized community. I'm like, what? It's not a community. You freak.
You guys have a community. All the predators just hang out together. They share child porn pics. What the fuck?
Oh my God, a community. They called it a marginalized community. I was like, remember, I come from the day when I remember when the NAMBLA, the National Association of Man Boy Love, tried to connect onto the gay community back in the 80s. We were like, what? We'll suck you in the face, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, like we're not for that.
Same exact thing. They just rebrand it and try to sneak it in this way.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting comment that Popeye put up here. I was a bike messenger in San Francisco in the 80s, and it was very different than it is now. The new stuff seems really forced. Absolutely. I think it is part of I'm seeing if you look at if you pull back and look at the whole bigger picture, you can see a depopulation agenda that is happening with a lot of things.
Big time.
And then they're crying like genocide, and it's like, but honey, like you guys are doing the self-sterilization with this process.
It is actually
you're causing that issue, and we're like, don't do that. We're like, don't. We're like, stop. And they're like, no, that means you're transphobic. Like, no, I'm trying to be pro. I'm trying to be pro you living and being healthy. I want you to be able to produce.
You, not trying to be.
That's right. The last
anti-anything.
resort for any medical condition is surgery and medicine. That's the last resort for anything. They don't just shove chemo down your throat. They try to do testing, find out where you're at.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There is no other comorbidity or disorder or whatever you want to call it that they medicalize you right out the gate. That's why we're all like, hold up here. You think a 10-year-old can consent to sterilization?
Right.
And they're lying. Then they're saying, oh no, it's reversible. It is far from reversible.
I've been looking into the Lupron. I've been looking into that. Like, oh my gosh, they use that for those people that we were just talking about, that heart children.
That's right.
That's who they use that for. So, like, when you tell somebody that, they're like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Because they just say the same stuff over and over. If they don't listen, they are being fed information. This is how you know it's an ideology. You know anything about cults? You know anything about that? You're fed something. You're not allowed to go outside of that. So look at that. They're not allowed to go outside of their bubble. They're not. Once they go out there, they're called a turf, or they're called a right winger, or that. So that none of the young people want to go. So they're just being inundated with this information over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh no, it's reversible. It saves lives. You know, trans genocide. Want to know what a genocide is, people? AIDS. That's a genocide. How come we don't talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so upsetting. I can't even.
How about that the curve from there, from the 80s until now, with the same, with like just now, if you think about the 80s, right, there was probably about maybe 6 or 7 different like standard vaccines that were given out.
Yep.
Right. And for 40
years,
listen, for 40 years before that, there was maybe 4. And that's it.
Right.
Now there's like 90. Or okay. Does anybody see a pattern here? Like this is a real effort on these people to medicalize everyone.
They don't care. It's, because people also are, I mean, are they lazy, or are they just, or are they so trusting? Right? Are they so trusting in medical? People forget doctors practice medicine, people. They don't know medicine. And medicine is forever changing. Doctors don't know that. Sometimes they got to go in the book and read stuff. They don't know. They're evolving as well. So I'm totally on board with you, my friend. I think that we're medicalizing everything because Big Pharma. Let's just be honest here.
Because the Big Pharma is owned by the big oil, so you know what I mean. It's just like a way to get all the money. Now you got all the money from the fuel and all the energy. Now we need the money and the energy from the humans.
Yeah. So when me and you say that, when all of us here, even people here, if we all look crazy. They think that they try to make us look crazy. They try to make us look like we totally don't know what we're talking about, and that we're conspiracy. They try to do that with me with trans kids. I'm like, you're out of your mind. If trans kids are a thing, they would have been here forever. And I would have been a trans kid, and I wasn't a trans kid. I was just a kid, and I went through puberty. And look at me. Do I look like a woman to you?
It's fantastic.
I'm sorry, Bucky, don't pass. If you go in the ladies' room, I'm gonna be like, what are you doing?
I'm a lady.
Are you in the wrong one?
By today's standards, you could just feel like, well, today I'm feeling really feminine, so I'm just going to use the ladies' room.
I have a vagina, so I can go in the women's room.
Oh my gosh! Will you tell the story how you went?
I'm using the ladies' room.
I mean, I've been in like the gay bar with women, and like there was like a men's stall, like a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom, and like we were like, hell no, we are not waiting in this line. Come on, let's all go in the men's room and use it, because no one's in there.
all things in life, things are situational, and
that's right.
And that's the thing, like when it comes to the whole bathroom issue, I think that like people, the problem is like I wouldn't, because I know you and your intention, I wouldn't have a problem with you being in there. Would I have a problem with most people being in there? No, it's because people can't read the intention of certain people. And it's like it's invisible. So we don't know if that person is coming in with a weird intention, or if they're going to try to do something weird. So like that's I think where people, because you can't read that, you can't read the person's intention. You don't know if they're being weird.
They look like a dude, okay, and they're identifying as a woman. Get out of here, dude. You better use a dude.
Yeah, like
how dare you?
If it's so safe, then use the other one.
But it's not even that. It has nothing to do with safety. It doesn't. Look, I make an effort. This is not this didn't just happen. I make an effort to look this way, right? For a reason, because I want to use the men's room. If those people aren't going to play the game, I have no sympathy for them in any way because they're creepy. They're creepy weirdos, and they're not trans. They're something else. They're like full on using this whole platform these idiot trans people built, because now the predators are coming in, and the predators who wear a beard and a dress. I don't care you're wearing a dress, dude. You still look like a man. And I've been in the women's room, okay, because I was a female. I lived as a female. I know what goes on in there. It's a different environment than men's room. There's just a different. It is a safe space on some level. It is. You don't want a dude in there flashing his wiener, because all these fucking trans women keep flashing their wieners around. It's like
like they're making it weird. Like
that's what it seems like. It seems like those people, those same people that are are obviously don't pass for what they're suggesting they are, and causing this big scene. It's more about them and their situation, and and the scene causing and the shock and excitement of it all, like it's a sexual thrill or a kink or something. It's not the same.
And if that's your thing, then let it be your thing. Like, but just don't do it. Like, don't force it on us. If you like to wear a dress, man. Like, I don't care.
They're actual misogynist people. This whole platform, this whole trans women. It's a misogynistic movement. They want to take women away. When you start calling women, look, we can prove it every day. I prove it to you. With John Hopkins, lesbian, non-woman attracted to non-woman, gay man attracted to man. I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. You're literally wiping out the definition of women, but there's man. It's a misogynistic movement. They want to take you out. I won't be a part of that as a trans person, because I'm a biological female who was gifted. I was gifted this space, my friends. I don't take this in any way, shape, or form.
No, you're so grateful for it.
Oh my God. I mean, cry.
I know. We'll cry together, because if you cry, I'll be crying. And that's just how it is.
And that's my woman side, and I don't care. I mean, I'm fully attached to my emotions, and I'm fully attached to the fact that I understand why I needed to transition. If we don't talk about biology, we're not talking about trans people. We're talking about something else. It's a female to male and male to female. That's it. Everything else you people out there are seeing, this has been hijacked. It's co-opted the trans space. It has nothing to do with being trans. It's a fetish. It's a fun thing. These kids are detransitioning. Who's going to clean up this mess? Me. We're all going to have to, all the trans people are going to have to clean up the mess these fake trans people have created. And it's a big mess, by the way.
And it's crazy, because like now since I've been more outspoken, and I'm like Scott Nugent had put up the I don't know, it was like last week or something, or the beginning of the month, that was like, can you go to my website and can you find something like that? He had a video, like find one of the things that that medically harm children or whatever. You know what video I'm talking about. So I did that, right? And oh my gosh, I got raked through the calls. Like, I'm like, really? And then I totally forgot the reason why I had done it is because Scott had asked on that video. Like the next day, these people are still going at me, and I'm like, really? So I put that video up with it, and then they just they're like, well, that's just. It's bullshit. Like, what do you mean it's bullshit? Wow. like you don't have any, they just, their brains are like broken. It's like they want to find something to be offended by.
That's right.
And then I have a small business. Like, it's just basically I'm an artist, and I make jewelry, and I do, I sew, and I do stuff like that. And I always put my stuff up on Twitter, just to kind of put it out there. And they started coming at me from behind blocks and going after me, calling me transphobic, and it's been brutal. And then people that I actually that actually have my personal cell phone number, that I thought were allies and friends or whatever, that are not part of the LGBT community, but are the allies of it, the blue-haired ones. Yeah, I don't know why they all have blue hair. I don't know why.
It's the uniform. It's the uniform. Totally.
But they I had people then putting up on Twitter oh, if you follow Lucky Burritos, then I'm gonna then end of the day I'm gonna unfollow you. And then I had people that I knew like that personally know me and like have done shows with me and like all this stuff, and like know that I'm not about hate or anything, jump on that bandwagon and try to say, oh, well, what do you do about people that are, part of the LGBT blah, 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 community and are just speaking hatefully, and then they tried to like get that other person that was saying like, if you follow me, that I was just talking to days before, like I was helping her with her dog days before on the DM, and like it's just like it's ridiculous.
They're captured. They're literally captured, and that's an ID. There's no other way to say it, people, because I have I have very few trans people in my life for a reason, clearly. But that being said, when you transition, you don't transition to be only in your community of trans people. That's ridiculous. You transition to be part of the world. That's how I can, again, tell you that they're all fake, because they're just transitioning and like literally staying with all trans people because they're too scared to go out into the world because they're not really trans. They're hiding behind something else there. And when they start attacking somebody else for the friends they have or calling them that right there, all you got to listen to me, friend. I'll tell you what.
They're just not a friend at that point. Like they never were.
You cut them off. But what you also need to understand is they were never your friend, number one. Number two, these people don't understand anything. They're fake. So that's all you got to know, need to release it. You don't need people like that in your life. If they're I lost so many friends in this whole space who are coming at me, and I'm like, dude, you're not my friend. I don't really care. If you can't handle me having a different opinion than you, I actually don't want you to be my friend. So bye. Yeah. I actually go like this, and I actually take my phone and I delete. I delete their number. See ya.
It's true. It hurts sometimes when it's somebody that you think is like, even if they've been a person that's been kind of like, that you kind of have to tread water around them because they're that kind of sensitive person,
It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it to have friends. I'm telling you, I'm 61. Let me give you a little old man advice here. It's not worth your time. What's worth your time is quality, not quantity. People don't get rid of every friend in your life who's not willing to let you have a different opinion, because they're not even worth your time, because now you got to babysit them. You got to make sure you're not going to say something bad to them and they're going to flip out. And oh my God, that's babysitting. That is not friendship. That's like, what?
Yeah, it's completely manipulative too. You know what I mean? Like they're sending people screenshots of things and being like, "Oh, do you support this?" And like, it's like, what age are you? Like, how old are you? Like, this is how you behave as an adult?
Yeah, like, it is. It is how it is how they're behaving as adults, which is even more shocking to me. My 10-year-old acts more mature than these people. It's unbelievable to me that we're having this conversation, number one, and that also adults are acting this way. Adults have lost their minds. Like, you're an adult. Grow up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like my daughter. I would get calls like it wasn't just once. It was several times that I got calls from the school principal, not because she was misbehaving, but because she stood up to her entire class. It was like, no, we're not. Apparently, sorry, there's something with my mic right now. I don't know what's going on.
That's all right. Or someone's down there doing something.
Oh, okay.
That's for another channel, people.
But like, yeah, I got calls and they would be like, listen, nothing's wrong, but like, so there was this one time, there was this boy, and I did a lot of volunteer work at my daughter's school. Like, I was just always there, like, keeping kids safe, because that's not a right-wing talking point. That is just a thing that you do as a parent, and as a good human being.
That's right.
So I did a lot of volunteer work there, and I remember there was this one boy, and he was weird. He was just weird. He was a really weird kid. He probably grew up to be a freaking tech genius or something.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of weird. And like, and so like one day, I guess like no one wanted to sit in like his chair. Like he wasn't there or something. And they were like, no, that's his chair. And my daughter Skyla gets up in front of her entire school class and sits in the chair and goes, "It's just a chair." Like... Yeah.
Right.
She in front of an entire lunchroom of kids one time. Someone was saying something inappropriate, and she was just like, "That's just not appropriate." Like,
right on. There you go.
It's like that's the way that you know, like children, that's where they should be. You know what I mean? They should know that you stand up to the bullies. That you stand up for
remember
people, whether
being
you
a
agree with
kid,
them or
it's
not.
hard. Yeah, but that's a really amazing thing because I got bullied a lot as a kid. I did stand up, right? But you know,
I was the one
I
doing
fought.
that, though.
I mostly was fighting boys, right? Because they would call me a girl, and I'm like, no, I'm a boy. I punch you in the face. Like I was always getting kicked out of school, and like I was like that typical tomboy girl. Oh, who's the baby?
This is Leo.
Oh, hi, cutie. Wow.
Say hi. I get to meet Buck.
Vegan asked if your thoughts on the puberty blockers.
Oh, no.
Puberty
I'm
blockers?
100% against puberty blockers. I'm 100% against transitioning anyone under the age of 18. I 100% disagree there are trans children. I think these children are dealing with some sort of mental problems and anxiety, depression, whatever it is. There's something going on there mentally, and or they're not, or they're just playing with gender. But I do not believe any child should have any medication or any surgery or anything like that. And you know what? Okay, they're going to suffer a little bit. Guess what happens when you suffer? You become a badass, and you
makes
literally
you stronger.
That's right, dude. I suffered. Look at me. Do you think I literally shit bounces off of me? You know, and that it wasn't fun going through puberty, and it wasn't fun going through the trials and tribulations of growing up. But you went through it. You went through it. Everyone in this place went through it. So why can't trans kids go through it? Right?
I know.
So
I didn't think
ridiculous.
puberty was optional.
Yeah, I didn't know it was optional.
It was never an optional thing.
Totally. Now you're like, here, kiddo, you want to opt out of puberty?
I know, like, of course.
It's like you're not buying a fucking Tesla and getting leather seats, you know, like it's not.
It's not an option on a car,
Yeah.
you know. Like no, like that's part of it. There is a really
part of
awkward phase, and
humanity.
we need to
right.
like support the kids through that.
That's right.
Like give them empathy and
Yeah.
understanding, and say, yeah, I know this is going to be really tough. It's going to be really weird, and like you're supposed to outgrow this, and as an adult, you're not supposed to have to deal with this.
You will grow out of it. You will, because look, me and all my tomboy friends, and like on the soccer team, and in high school, we were all dykey, you know, those kind of butchy chicks. None of them transitioned but me. Okay, so don't try it. Don't try it, people. I have too much time under my belt, and that's why they keep trying to silence me, because I can keep crack everything that they keep trying to say. I'm like, no, you're lying. There's no way that this thing went 4,000% young girls in the last 5 to 10 years without it being something being put in their brain. Because I never said I was trans. I always said I was a boy. Why are these little kids saying they're trans? They're giving them this word. So they right? So like a real transgender sexual person would say, I feel like a boy or I feel like a girl. They would never say they felt trans, because this is not an identity choice, people. I don't live as a trans person. I live as a man. Big difference. These people are living as trans. Our trans truth, trans rights are human rights, trans women are trans. I'm like, what is all that shit? It was
never a thing. Like for my friends that transitioned, like, you know, like 15, it was never like I identify as this. It was just this is my disorder. I deal with this, and this is why I'm doing these things to make X look, you know, to make myself look more like, you know, like to
me it's
gender.
like they've invented the third option instead of it being like a binary choice. They've given you this other thing that isn't either one of the other things.
That's right. That's exactly.
So now you have three choices. You're either a boy or a girl or trans. Like let's not just stop there. Now we also have non-binary, and you have
right.
We're just gonna keep making up shit as long as the day is long. That's it.
As long as the adults in the room let it happen.
Exactly.
That's how come. The adults in the room are not standing up. That's why I'm standing up. Blair, all of us older transsexual people who have been around for a little while, or you know, really see through all this nonsense. We're done with it. We're done with it because they came after us and they try to shut us up. And I'm like, you're just making a huge mistake, friend. You can't shut me up. I'm an elder in this community, and people respect me.
Super thankful. If we haven't said it already, we're super thankful that you came on here and do speak the truth that you do, because it's so important.
Thank you.
Just
I
incredible.
appreciate it. Well, that's why I'm here, because you're willing to have the conversation. And
Hell
also, this is
yeah.
building bridges.
Absolutely.
Me and you build bridges. Whoever is in here listening, whoever your people are that listen to you, someone's going to learn something from this tonight and take it back to somebody else and be like, hold up, wait a minute. An old school tranny told me this, and you cannot argue with me. You cannot. And if someone argues with any of you people, send them to me. Because I will set them down like they're supposed to be set. You sit down, kiddo, and you listen to me right now. They're not used to being talked to like that. They're used to being talked to like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I hurt your
and cuddled
feelings?
and coddled.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, sit down, kiddo. You know what? Shut up. I don't want to
tell you
hear
some
anything
shit.
out of your mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, like truth matters. Like, can we start with the truth and reality? And
there is
right.
that stumbling block that's like that has to do with age. Like when you are young, like I talked about this a few times on the podcast. I had a guy try to tell me some really important shit when I was young. And I dismissed him as some old dumbass who didn't know his ass from his elbow. Come to find out, he was on point trying to give me a heads up fucking 40 years in advance.
That's right.
And I just dismissed him as youthful fucking ignorance will do. And that's what they're preying on. That's exactly the thing.
Dude,
I told Steve, I'm like, yeah, but that guy did even though you might not have listened to everything, he did implement some wisdom into you because you remember him.
Enough so that I keep repeating it. I keep sending this message out into the universe. Like, don't just dismiss some old crazy beardo gray-haired dude that you meet, because he might give you some fucking gold, and you need that when you're young.
We all know that's how kids are. We were all like that. I completely do not take their dismissiveness of me. Personally, I do not. But what I do know is every once in a while, some kid comes around and that kid says, thank you, Tranpa. And that's all I care about.
That's
one kid at a time. One kid at a time. I'm not going to get them all because they all been completely captured by the ideology. I'm not going to get them. But just like you said, I feel a duty. I feel a duty to do this, and I feel that it is my space as an elder in this community to make sure. And you do it with such love.
Right on, man. You do it with grace and love, and that's commendable as hell.
We have a couple questions that have come in.
Yeah, right on.
Vegan said, how can we support children who are unsure how they identify if we live in a country without universal health care, which would include mental health? She's a healthcare advocate.
Great. Yeah. Great. How can we support children who are unsure of their identity if we live in a country without universal health? Yes, that's right. We don't have mental health care. And I just did an interview on my channel with an actual therapist who had to cover her face. And you should listen to her because she's going to tell you exactly what you just said. How can we do this? How can we be doing this to children? How can we be affirming a kid that he is trans at 6 years old? And how can we not let therapists push back on these children? My therapist pushed back on me for 2 years. No, you're not a dude. What does it mean to be a dude? Go ahead and try to answer that. What does it mean to be a dude? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean you feel like a man? I'm like, those are the most awesomest questions because I want to see what these kids say when they did, but they're not even being asked these questions. So we should not be doing anything until these kids go to at least a year of therapy, at least intensive, complete, total therapy, because we should be trying to get them out of the disorder. We should
and find out what else is wrong. You know what I mean? Like what other things are happening? Are they overweight? Are they getting picked on in school? Have they been abused? Like there should be a whole screening process. It shouldn't be like like a fast track. So Vegan is one of my very close friends, and she is a healthcare advocate. Excellent. So I think that we should definitely do some conversation. Maybe we can do a spaces or something about how.
I would love it. Let's do a space. Yeah, totally.
Because I like when I was a kid, when I turned 21, like I was a military brat, and then I turned 21, and then it was just like, oh yeah, you don't have insurance.
That's right. Yeah. It's crazy. But now insurance pays for everything. So when I did it, insurance didn't pay for this.
What about the kids that turn 18 and that don't have insurance anymore? Or they turn 20, well, you know what I mean? And they're lifelong medical patients.
That's right.
So what happens? What are they going to do?
Well, I'm sure they're going to come up with something for that. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical companies will figure that one out. Trust me. With insurance. So right now, insurance pays for a lot of the top surgeries, a lot of the medicine. But here's what's happening. They're lying to the insurance companies. So we're breaking that open right now. There are actual therapists. If you pay them $150, they will write you a letter so that you can start to get your testosterone. That is not true. That is actually a fraud. That's fraud. You did not spend time with this kid and learn about them. So they're actually advertising this. So that's another list we're all making to send to the insurance companies to tell them this is fraud. And those therapists should lose their license, as well as you got to stop paying for these kids' testosterone because they haven't gone through therapy and they haven't been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. They've been just given a fake letter.
Right. It's just a fast, there's like that same fast track. Right. It used to, like when opiates were big, 20 years ago, it was like all you needed was one doctor to say this. And then you boom, you were good. You could go to shop 5 different doctors, have pills from every one of them, and it wouldn't matter. So they've just sped up the process, just made it that much easier.
It's going to be the same thing that they all were, right? ADHD, all the medicine with that, all the what was that? Remember lobotomy? That's a great analogy. The lobotomy. Yeah,
they had the lobotomies that they did. They had the thymidazine. I can never say it right. Thymidazine or whatever. Like they did the pregnant women, and it caused birth defects for there was just babies dying.
No, they were giving the women that stuff and birth control, and it also gave that. But the lobotomy, the guy won an actual Nobel Peace Prize for the lobotomy, and it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. It's going to happen with this. You watch; these people are winning awards for being blah blah blah, and they're all frauds. Every single doctor who affirms that there's gender identity. What's it called? Gender identity medicine or some crap. Doctor that's
the affirmation care.
Affirmation. What?
And then the other thing that nobody really talks about is where the ideology came from. Dr. Money and Dr. Kinsey. That's and they are there's the Kinsey Institute and and if you bring that up, people are like, no, that we don't they just do not want you to talk about this. Nope. I've done shows covering them. And I lost sleep over covering some of this stuff. I was like, wow, this is just this is where it comes from though.
That's right. That's exactly right. John Hopkins, who also did that nonsense. So also Dr. Money, who did that thing with the twins, right? And the botched surgery, and then they made one girl. He basically used them as an experiment, and he said nurture over nature, and I'm like, bullshit. There's no such thing but nature is so there. You cannot change the biological sex of somebody. You can change the appearance. So they lied to that kid and told him that he was really a little girl when he was actually a boy. And he said, it's anybody who's watching this, go just to YouTube and plug the Reimer. I think it's the Reimer.
Yep.
Twins,
the Reimer twins.
Dr. Money, Reimer. You'll find some great documentaries. It's going to blow your mind if you don't know this. This is actually the beginning of what's happening today. 100%. It came from all of that experimentation.
He would be thrilled. He would be happy. Those sick doctors would be absolutely thrilled that everything that they are doing is just playing out.
It's playing out. And also, did you know that he was a complete P? I'm not going to use the word.
Oh, yeah.
He was a MAPS. He was a total MAPS.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's just like, he's the beginning. No, he's a freaky weirdo pervert.
And he didn't report it, and he let it happen. It was bad. Dipper has a question here for us too. What other issues in the trans community that are not being mentioned in mainstream media?
What other issues? Well, I would say the number one issue for me, especially and the reason why I sit here today, is for the kids. So I think in mainstream media, which is more I would say the left media, is that they just put out a false narrative about puberty blockers. They put out a false narrative about trans kids or trans kids. They put out a false narrative about that kids are not getting surgery. They put out a false narrative that there's a very low rate of detransitioners. They don't even really talk about detransitioners, right?
No, they minimize them.
Minimize it.
They're just I just,
Yep.
my
Yep.
heart goes out to them, you know,
It's
like
sick.
it's like, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to them so much.
Oh
And
my God, it's
I
so
feel so
sick.
protective of them.
Me
Like,
too. No, me
I'm
too.
just
I'm
like,
totally their trampa. I'm like, I'm standing in front of them. Go ahead and try it. I dare any of you to come at me right now, because they love to say it on the internet. I always give the address to the Starbucks down my house. Like, oh, I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. You want to say it to my face? Here's the address to Starbucks right here, and I will be there. Then I'll take a picture of myself waiting. Where are you? They're not. Don't let these people are complete. I'm old school. You know that. Look at me. I'm old school. I'll knock you out if you even try. If you even try that nonsense with me. Like, they're not so tough, people. They're tough on the internet because they can be. Right now, don't get me wrong. I know people can get doxxed and lose their job and all that nonsense, but that's just the same bull crap that these kind of baby ass people back in my day, you would have been stabbed in the eye with a pencil. So don't even try it. Like, you can't play that game where I come from. You better stand up and speak the truth, because you're all lying about it. You're lying about kids.
So here we have another question. Zainab says, how do you handle the right wing running with rhetoric and legislation that is extreme, like the Tennessee drag ban that would ban any cross-dressing in public and harms the trans community?
Well, does it harm that? First off, drag queens are not trans, so there's that. Let's get that settled right there. I'm so mad how now drag queens are trans. Like, that's cheating. That is actual cheating. If I were to do drag, I would have to do it as a woman. I could not do it as a man. I would win. I won.
You would. I helped you drag king shows, so yeah, like, I know what you're
So
talking
there you
about.
go. There's that. Number two, they've flown the drag. Now that's the conservative side who has taken, right, the idiots in the left side who are doing stupid stuff with kids. So this, but it's not a lot. I'm going to tell you this. I have a lot of drag queen
They really
friends.
focus on it, though.
They focus on it. I came from that place. Half my friends are drag queens. They're all on RuPaul's drag. I'm in that space, and they're not. They also agree with us. They do not believe children should be around. They do not. It's the drag queens that are doing the nonsense are ruining it for everyone else. Just like the idiot at the White House. She now ruined it for everybody else. There's always one idiot who just takes it to the next level, right? And ruins. So now drag queens are being, illegal. They're all hot topics, so you can look the other way. Why the other stuff is being slipped down underneath. I really highly suggest you look deeper into that, because drag queens are not doing this. Who's doing this are stupid people. And I would say the majority of the whole, and then we get making drag illegal is so insane and so ridiculous. Like, now our adult spaces are being taken away.
Yeah, like, I don't have a problem with with drag and with all of that. It is super fun. Yeah. It is like, I don't want them to not be able to like dress how they want to be. It's the intention and it's the acts. So if they're acting, anybody, whether you're a heterosexual or a gay or lesbian, bi, I don't care what it is. If you're actually acting sexualized in front of a child, that's not right.
No, it's not.
That's inappropriate.
Like, no, you know what I mean?
It's so stupid, you guys. Why are we even having this? I come from the pornography world. Everybody knows that. I created porn 20 years ago. I work in the sexuality business. I make sex toys. Those are for adults. I work in the adult entertainment. What part of adult are you all missing? But it's not. Do you notice I never put it in your face? I never talk about it. I know if you want to find it, you can find it. It's there. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is this: I'm an actual person who works in a sexual space. I do not want children around me. I do not want children to be in any space that I'm at, for a reason. Because once we do that, we now open up a whole can of worms, and everybody thinks we're pedophiles and weirdos. Yeah.
And exactly. That's just as simple as it is, to state, like, certain things are adult themes and children shouldn't be around them. That is not to say that people in drag can't be around children. It's it's their intention. If they're acting all weird and fucking sexual, then they shouldn't be around children. If you're just acting like a man who's dressed as a woman or vice versa, then who cares? It's really irrelevant at that point.
That's right. But when you have a big penis that's squirting out fluid and walking down the middle of the pride parade, wrong.
Exactly.
Well,
Did you see they were
inappropriate.
whipping somebody in the back of a truck on one video? I was like, okay, like that's fine if it was like an adult only thing. Like, yeah, that's
kids
funny.
see that,
That's
and the guy's in
fine.
a thong, and the guy's like naked, and then he's being beat. I'm like, that could actually traumatize a child. By the way,
Sure.
they don't know
Exactly.
that.
It's so
BDSM.
simple. It's so simple to
And
understand.
some adults. I mean, there are some
Yeah.
people that are just like completely
cool
like,
with it.
whoa,
Wound
what's
up.
with girls, you know?
That's right. But you
Yeah.
know, that's how we used to have our parades. We were all crazy like that because you know it was about sexuality. Pride was about celebrating our sexuality. So it was very sexually sort of, you know, hot. That's why we didn't want kids, because we wanted to be able to kiss and be naked and touch each other and do inappropriate things in our little space, right?
Yeah.
And so the minute the kids started showing up, I would say the kids were never there, you guys. The kids started showing up, I think in maybe the 80s. And I think it was the gay women who started bringing their kids. And then everybody was like, but then like people just started letting it kind of be. And then here we are today.
Yeah.
So Sage said, I want to say how much I love and respect you both. You have no idea how much your voices mean to this straight biological women, not cis. I know, I hate that term. We
all
need a
do.
coalition of sanity. I'll stand with you always.
Right
oh,
on.
thank you. Thank you. I
friend.
appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, little by little, we have these conversations, and little by little, people start to see that all trans people are hateful, weird, crazy nutcases who want to eliminate everybody. It's not. We want rights for everybody, and we also want to coexist with you. We want to be part of the world. We don't want to be separate. Those are militant. They're militant activists who want to cause problems and take out women. And the things they say, some of the violent things they say are so shocking.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm not calling. And like, people are like, oh, we can't get lucky, blocked and all this and that. Like, cause they try to like mass report. I'm like, I'm not saying anything that is blockable though. I'm not.
That's right.
I'm not the
That's
one
right.
saying the hurtful things. Why would they block me for saying that?
Because that's what cults do.
Right.
Cults don't want you to say things about them. That's why try leaving Scientology. They'll come at you. You can't leave Scientology. You have to actually hide. And so that's sort of how I feel about this situation. And, you know, to call my own community a cult is so horrible, but it's how I feel about it.
I know. I feel the same way.
It's not my community, though.
Ridiculous.
It's not my community. It's
no, they aren't. No, they're like
driving the narrative, though.
Yeah, and like, you know, and another thing that really bothers me is like, I love rainbows. I love rainbow stuff. I always have, you know, but come on, you know, some nuance. I don't think that we need to have these flags in school. Like,
no.
What is happening? Why is my sexuality up on display in schools?
It shouldn't be anywhere. Okay,
in kindergarten.
A weekend, right? We used to have Pride for one weekend. Bam, we're done. Let's move on to the next thing.
6 days, you know, if anything.
No, and not only that, I personally don't like seeing those Pride flags, which the new ones especially, because they're
they creep me out.
Cult flags. And I see them. I live in LA. They are everywhere. I like walk into shops. They're like, I'm like, I can't take it. So I'm at the store with my son the other day, and we're getting stuff, and I see a piece of cake, and the cake is actually rainbow inside. I'm like, I go, dude, come here, I want to ask you something. And he comes over, I go, look at this piece of cake, what does that make you think of? And he goes, you know, every time I see the rainbow now, all I see is a flag. I was like, wow, dude. I go, thank you, that was so profound. A 10-year-old doesn't even see a rainbow. He sees a flag. It's sick. It's
overly, you know what I mean? Like I love rainbows.
Think about it though, how corporatized it is that
that's right.
The flag itself, like you just said, in every shop, every you know, corner market, everywhere across the United States, and in every public square and you know, park system across the nation has some kind of events going on this month. And all month pretty much, and are just decked out with this corporate swag of microplastics of rainbow stuff everywhere. And
where's the money going? So this is how dumb our community. This is how dumb the community.
It's not going back to the community.
If you want to help, Pride, then you should shop at people that are part of the community.
That's right.
In their small businesses.
That's right. And
that's
small,
how
you should support
Pride.
small business. You don't support corporate. And also because I used to have a cannabis company and I used to donate a percentage of the sales all 365 days a year. It wasn't Pride. It was literally giving back to my community. And so I started to go after the other cannabis companies. Like, you can't just latch on to me during Pride. I will work with you if you work with me for the whole year. And you got to start giving money back to the organizations here and to people who have suffered from the cannabis.
You don't get the virtue signal off of me.
Signal on my time. No way, dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point being is, why are we not holding these corporations accountable and saying you can put your stamp on our flag if you want, but you got to give us X amount of money from all of June. Starbucks should be giving X amount of percentage to our organizations.
100%.
And not just one organization, right? Not one that the wokey weirdos are picking, but other ones. There's many organizations that can use the money, not just, not just Trevor Project, which is a great organization, but not, not just Trans Lifeline or whatever. It's LGBTQ.
Whatever the mega ones. Yes.
But it's LGBTQ. It's not just trans. It seems like everything is trans now. That
it's kind of lesbian and gay over. Like it feels like it's kind of like
it's
just
like
smothered the rest of us.
Yipper just said CIA Pride. That's
CIA put up a thing the other day.
DARPA will work their logo onto the end of the flag.
Right on, dude.
I was like, are you kidding me? The CIA, and then they had it in the White House. They had it in the middle of the two U.S. flags, and I'm not even like. I grew up, I was really patriotic. I'm really not now, but I'm still like in this in between kind of like, I was military brat, I put my hand on my heart and listened to taps play when I lived on a military base. You know what I mean? Like, and they lowered the flag. It was really, it's really hard. It's really a struggle because I know, there are
let me say this.
There's a nuance to it.
But why does the LGBTQIPP poo-poo flag get to be flown at the White House? I've never seen any other flag flown at the White House. Have you?
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, man.
No,
it's super culty. It really lends itself, and with all the like the right wing take on this whole thing. Is like this weird Handmaid's Tale thing, and like, what the fuck is going on, bro? It's like we've crossed into Netflix dimension somehow. Like we live in a cartoon that's turned into a mini series.
It's telling South Park.
It's like the Hadron whatever collider, messed up our dimensions somehow.
Interdimensional space marmots have fucked up our stuff. Oh my
god, it's insane, you guys. Like, I'm like, no, if you're gonna fly that flag, you gotta fly every other flag, okay? Don't you dare try it. And the only flag that should be ever flown at the White House is the American flag. The only flag that should ever be flown in schools is the American flag. And you all know I'm totally liberal. I'm not like a hardcore right conservative person. I would say I have some conservative values, but I would say much more this classical liberal kind of space where I'm like, everyone should be able to do what they need to do as long as they're not kicking up somebody else's butt over it. You know what I mean? Like, I should be able to live my life. You should be able to live your life. You should be able to vote for who you want. We live in a democracy, people. You should be able to have whatever lover
at least that's what's implied anyway.
Totally.
Did you see that you put those pride flags together? And it makes actually like the Nazi symbol with that thing.
It makes a swastika.
I was like, holy shit. I'm like, that is creepy. I didn't make this flag. I didn't make the thing. I didn't do that. But that is really creepy symbolism.
I mean, it's actually pretty bizarre that it fits so nicely. I mean, I don't know. Was that an accident? Because that's I don't know, accident.
But somebody saw that together, and it's not like it's completely manipulated. It's just literally four of them together like that. Yeah. And when I saw that, I was like,
it's creepy.
Oh shit. Like,
that's a draftsperson's like little hack, putting that, if you put this one next to it, it's gonna, what I mean? Like, you just know it.
When I saw that, I was like, man, and I'm not against any, I love everybody. I'm not against any Jewish people, but like when I saw that, I was
But you
like,
know, they love throwing
wow.
that. Yeah. Your friends are saying like, I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I don't think it was intentional.
I
But
don't know who
but
created it
we
or
but
their
it still
intention.
seems a little strange. And you know, we could get deep into all of the conspiracy and all of that stuff.
Sure.
But let's be real here. Something's going on. I don't care. I'm a tranny, people. I'm an actual real life one. Like you can like touch me. So I see things many of you might not see. And I see things that I'm allowed to say about it, right? And so it makes because I
Sure.
want you to think about what's going on. I want you to think, why would they be transitioning and why would little girls, okay, the number one group of people who are transitioning as young people are girls. Why is it a 4,000% increase in only young girls? It's not a level playing field. Excuse me. It's not a level playing field. If it was the same, it would be the same with young boys, but it's literally all young girls, right? And we know young girls have always gone through these kind of comorbidities or these stressful times. I mean, we have anorexia, we have all these kind of things that young girls deal with when they're going through the puberty stage. This isn't new, but what's new is this high percentage of young girls. You can't not look at that in a way that says something's wrong here. Because if it was just 1 out of 300 girls, look, it's how it always has been. It's, you know, it's you have to understand, gender dysphoria is a very small very, very small. It's always been small. We've never dominated the way we have. And the majority of adults that are transitioning are these older men becoming women. So the whole thing is all over the place, right? And those women are transitioning, those men to transition to women are transitioning for a whole other reason. A lot of them are married straight men, which, you know, before they were always gay men who were transitioning. So it's the whole thing just seems something's out of whack.
Off, and like nobody's really talking about it and even asking any questions like, why is this? Because I mean, like something is definitely, if people aren't noticing it, it's because they're not paying attention to it or they're purposefully ignoring it.
That's right.
Like, you know, like, I mean,
right.
and then the stuff that's happening, like what the books that they're putting into schools for kids, the effects that's happening. And then I was in a spaces earlier when Scott was speaking, Scott Nugent, and he was saying that even if we stopped right now and no more people became transgender, that the numbers in 10 to 20 years, the numbers would be 20 up. It's like 18 to 24% of our population.
That's right. That's actually fake. There's no way. So also somebody in here,
that's alarming.
Bullhorn. I'm sorry, Bullhorn. I'm going to push back on you. You're wrong. Those statistics are wrong. And I actually have the statistics for those because he's saying, or I don't know. They're saying that the Nazis, that the first people the Nazis jailed were trans people. That is a complete, total lie. Prove it. I can prove to you that that's a lie. Somebody just did a study and dug out. I actually live in a Jewish family, by the way. That's a complete lie, number one. And this is the lies that keep getting perpetuated out there. That is not true. They found out that only 2 trans people were killed, along with the rest of them being gay. And I have the statistics and the facts for that, by the way. So
that would be awesome. Yeah, send them to me.
Right. There's another trope that's being pushed in there that trans people, and now trans people are always, no, trans people didn't even exist back there. They hid. They didn't even talk about being trans. So that is a complete and total lie. Gay men were out.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you just,
it's
shocking that you know that for a fact that's not factual, because I read that as well, not recently in something that some Substack or something that I was reading.
That's right.
Quoted that.
It's not true at all. And this is the misinformation they keep putting out there.
Wow.
Trans people weren't even around. They were not even around. They only found 2 actual trans people who actually identified as trans. Now they could have been trans, but they identified as gay men, right? Or whatever. But this is the stuff that really upsets me, because when you start to say stuff like this, that's not factual, and it's taking away from so the other trope that these people keep doing in the trans community is they completely rewrote the history of Stonewall. Stonewall did not have Black trans women there until later, until the next day. I know the man who was actually there. I interviewed him on my channel, Fred Sargent. He was one of the very first gay men to fight at Stonewall, along with the lesbian Stormy. She was the one who actually both Marsha and the other one were not there until later on. And Marsha was not trans. Marsha P. Johnson identified as a transvestite. You can even see it on YouTube. She says it. She said, I'm not trans, I'm a transvestite. I'm a gay man who likes to dress like women. And I was not at Stonewall. She actually says it.
Wow.
I'm like, you people. So I'm not busting this guy or person here. I'm just saying, this is the kind of stuff I keep seeing. And it's a complete and total lie. And it's upsetting to me that, he learned, or they learned it, and now they're just going to repeat it, because I understand why, because they want to be an ally and they want to do that. But this is the problem with allies, right? We're feeding allies wrong information. And if
absolutely, that's why it's so critical to have these conversations.
That's right.
To debunk things, because you know what I mean? When Zainab put that in the room, I was like, oh, I have to type to that, because I just read that too, not too long ago. But you know what I mean? It's like,
it's a lie.
Of course, now I'm going to have to go friggin' look at it, because what the hell, you know?
Just send me over either.
I mean, don't you think as a trans person, I would be very, very like, we got killed. I would be totally all over it. I'd be like, but I'm not going to lie about history, and I'm not going to lie about our history. Yeah, we've been persecuted people, but you got to understand, we were nowhere near as big as everybody else. We've always been very small. Even in the LGBT fight, we were small. We didn't start Stonewall, and we didn't do anything. We were hiding behind everyone else because we couldn't be open, and we couldn't be. It was the gays that sort of helped us move forward. The gays were the part of everything. It's why we have to stop being so homophobic. But they're trying to flip the narrative on this as if trans people were the only people who made. Trans people weren't even around. Do you think they were around 30 years ago? I was the only trans guy transitioning. So where were the other trans guys?
Even like amazing. 15 years ago, I had one friend, and I was like, wow, you're like a gem that I get to have you as a friend, because it wasn't as common. It really wasn't.
Right. It was not.
I was in the gay community then. Like I was.
So if it wasn't common 30 years ago, how was it common in Nazi Germany? How? If it wasn't even common in 30 years ago when I was transitioning in a space when I live in a free country, right? You think that there were thousands of trans people back in the day, Nazi Germany? Are you kidding me? Even gays had to hide. So trans people were going to be really hidden because they're like even more freaky than gay people. So, I don't want to bust your balls, my friend, but I just think that you need to sort of step back for a minute here and listen to somebody other side of the story. And, it's just upsetting for somebody like me who's been part of the gay community for 40 years. And when I start to see our narrative be changed to fit somebody else's narrative, it's horrible. And it upsets me beyond belief. And, Fred Sargent, who's now 78 years old, right? Who was the first guy at Stonewall. He got beat up. He got beat up at Vermont Gay Pride. And that was it for me. That was when I literally changed my whole trajectory. And I'm like, I'm going after all you. I'm not going to sit around and let you beat up elders of the community who helped you be able to transition today.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for all the elders that came before us. Because I came out in like the 90s, just to kind of my friend group. I couldn't come out to I was really afraid to come out, and I lost one of my my best friends because she was very much a churchgoer, and she was just like, no, that's just that is a sin, and you know what I mean. So
I know they still say it.
They still really say quiet, and I still I'm not I remember one of my girlfriends that I was with, someone that I thought I was gonna we were gonna spend our lives together, we had broken up and everything. It was tragic. And to me, and I remember telling my mom, we broke up or whatever, and she told my sister, oh yeah, they had a fight or whatever. No, that's not what it is. You know what I mean? To this day, I just don't really openly talk about it with a certain part of my family, even though they might have evolved from it. But it's not prominent enough that they need to know about those. You know what I mean? And I don't need to put it in their face. You know what I mean? They aren't I wouldn't say they're conservative, but they're more the military, older generation Democrat, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So it's kind of out of I just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm very open with my friends and I'm open with my community. And I feel like I have to keep saying that I am for some fucking reason. Like I have to be like, yeah, I'm part of the LGBT community plus T. I have to keep saying it and reiterating it. And people that I know were actually like, oh, well, she allegedly says that she's part. Like what?
Allegedly.
You don't get really? Really? There was like a good 10-year chunk of my life where I was just completely, people called me a lesbian, okay? Because there was no man's land.
The fact that you have to sort of back it up is just so bizarre to me. We just never been so
I know, it's like, what do you want? Photo proof? Like,
but why are we so at odds with people? I want to know why we're so at odds with each other when everyone's supposed to be able to be living in their truth, and why we're all supposed to be so they always say, like, you know, authenticity matters, and they say that, you know, living in that way matters. I've been living this way for a long time, but I don't seem to matter, right? So that's why I'm telling you, everything is built on a false foundation and a false narrative. And I don't know why they have to lie. I don't know why they have to make stuff up, and I don't know why I don't lie about anything, because I don't have to lie.
Well, I think that there's just so much propaganda out there that, like, we have to filter through all of that. And then we have to filter through the intentions of the people that maybe don't want us to exist. You know what I mean? And the people that do actually want to push hate. And so, like, we have to kind of like filter through that. We have to filter through, you know, it's like it's when we finally get down to the actual core of it. We're just exhausted.
I'm exhausted from these people. It's like, literally, when I start seeing law, it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you making that up? You know, why are you making all of this sort of... So one of the other things that upsets me is, like, we have people in our history who have died, right? Like, let's just say a butch woman who died, and she was super butch, and she was a big writer, right? And the LA Times did this whole article on her. And then in the LA Times, they decided to take it upon themselves and to change her whole identity. She was a butch gay woman. And they said, well, if she was living in this time, she would have been a non-binary. And so we're going to say that she's non-binary, and we're going to start calling... I was like, what? You can't...
No,
this was the LA Times. I was like, what are you talking about? She was a lesbian. Because she was butch doesn't mean she was non-binary. And now you're actually putting your own idea of what this woman would have been, because this is what I'm saying. It's just
weird. It's really weird. It's like we don't get to go back to be like, you know, we don't get to rewrite that history. You know what I mean? No matter who it is. We do not
get to do that. And also, why are we not celebrating butch lesbians? Why are we
saying butch women are fucking hot?
It's gross. It's gross to say she was a non-binary. Nobody didn't even exist back then. Nobody even knew.
I didn't know that term when I was like dating, and dating butch women.
I think it just came in the last 10 years or maybe a little more, but it was always very small and very, you know what I mean? It started getting momentum when I think non-gay people wanted to belong to our community, and it was an easy way for them to identify into the LGBT space. And that's, I think, what a lot of us people are kind of concerned with. People who are not really gay or really trans or latching onto our space. And, you know, it's kind of insulting on some level. You think I like being transsexual? I don't like being this guy. I want to be born a dude. I don't want to be born a woman who had a transition and shoot myself with testosterone every week and work out at the gym and you know what I mean, and like be this guy and always know that I am forever going to have these genitals. And there's psychological stuff you have to really get yourself prepared.
I know. I often think about this, like, you know, like when I watch what your shows, or I see you interact with you online, I'm like, gosh, does it make it worse to have to keep like affirming that, you know what I mean, that like, you know, it makes it like it triggers that, you know, like that, like, I don't know, lizard part of our brain, you know what I mean, whatever it is that hits, you know what I mean, it's got to be hard to have to keep being like, no, beating the people off with a stick that just don't get it. Like,
it's just ridiculous. That's what I told you earlier. I've never had to say I'm a biological female. Even when I was a female, even when I was living as a female, never had to say that. I just think
I know, now it's like, oh, you want to get like
everything. It goes against everything that you transition. I transitioned so you wouldn't ask me that. That's why I got all pissy about the pronouns, because I'm like, look, if you identifying as a dude, but you look like a chick, you're going to have to deal with that, my friend, because you're going to have to, I had to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it. Sorry, but unless you start to at least try to make yourself look like a dude, but if you're literally looking like a chick and you're like, my pronouns are he, him, I'm like, no one's going to call you that. Just so you know, either am I. I'm going to keep slipping up and calling you she because it's what I visually see, and that's okay.
We're like programmed to use
we are
those
programmed.
And it's,
that's right.
Okay, can we just talk about the pronoun thing really quick because they're actually secondary pronouns. It's actually how we refer to somebody that is the actual pronoun. So like it's how that you want, that's how they want you to speak about them. Not it's not proper. It's not proper grammar.
It's narcissism. It's complete total narcissism. Me. You misgender. When I see these young people on the internet crying because they got misgendered, I just want to pound the table because I'm like, are you kidding me? You think that's your worst? Go live in another country for a week. Or even like a day. You'll be coming back really crying. I mean, the fact that's such entitlement. That's such a weird thing, and they got some serious mental stuff going on if they're literally breaking down and crying so hard because someone called them he instead of she. That is not normal. It is not.
Yeah, no, yeah, and somebody was like pushing back on me on like, oh, how do you know if it's a mental illness? And I'm like,
what?
Because it's not, it's an abnormal thought process. Like that is just what it is. You know what I mean? Like I didn't put it in the, I didn't put it in the DSM-5.
Also, have you ever felt like a man before? Have you ever felt like you wanted to be a man? Never. So why does 99% of the world never have the same? So that makes it a disorder, people. It's a disorder. It's not normal that I want to feel like a man. Okay. It's okay. It's done. I deal with it, but it's not normal that I want to be a man when I was born a woman. It's actually a disorder. Like, I don't understand why what I say has become so foreign to people.
How is this so controversial?
How? Yeah. Why?
Like I said something on Twitter about how like something triggered me to think this, and like just some, you know, like, I just say things. It wasn't like to offend anybody, but I was like, only biological women or intersex people that are born with female reproductive organs can get pregnant. I don't know why this is controversial.
Why is it controversial? This is a pen. No, it isn't. It's a piece of paper.
That's a paper.
I know. It's like,
are you sure that's not a stapler that's transitioning?
But I got like completely like attacked over it.
I believe
they're
it.
like, why would you say that out of the blue? I'm like, because I'm talking about biological things. What are you talking about? Because it doesn't matter why I say it. Like, I'm not saying it in an intentionally hurtful way. I'm saying something that's true.
People talk about facts. All I can hear is David Byrne in my head. Like, every time. Facts are simple. Facts are straight.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. We don't transition to get pregnant, by the way. Now, if you want to get pregnant, you go right ahead, my friend. But don't you think people are not going to come after you for that?
Secondly, that is another thing I got attacked for.
Oh my God.
The pregnant person on the cover. I was like, this is not okay. Doesn't this bring you more dysphoria? Like, I mean,
it does for me.
Doesn't this trigger it?
It does for me, but do they care? No. And the other thing is, if he's a pregnant man, shouldn't he be on a man magazine? Why is he on a women's magazine?
Good point.
He's a pregnant man, so he should be on He should be on the cover of Sports Illustrated,
bro. Right? It's art. It's art, bro. You know,
it's art.
You would understand.
But saying that, okay, do you know that somebody came at me and said, "Okay, I'm gonna wait until you take your sip." Okay.
Spit take. There we go.
They said I am a non-binary trans person who has female reproductive organs and can get pregnant.
Well, okay, gotta say it one more time. I'm a
non-binary trans person who has female reproductive organs that can get pregnant.
So they're just messing around. Well, okay, so here's what I want to say. I would love to keep track of these people who are doing this nonsense and see what they're doing in 5 years. How much do you want to bet me that the majority of these people will not be these people anymore and go back to living in their biological space? Because these people, first off, many of them aren't even transitioning like me. They're just identifying as these things.
Yeah, it's
so
like
if they choose to all of a sudden go back to living as a woman, it's no big deal. They just change their things in their bio. That's it. I can't do that. I've taken this seriously. And I've taken it to the extent that I know exactly that I can never turn back. And that's the difference between them and me. I have such a disorder to walk the world looking like a woman and being all these. I don't need all these labels. I just want you to visually see but I put the work in. So now these people want to call themselves trans like me. How do you think that makes me feel? It's like, what are you doing? And that has nothing to do with being trans. And I don't care how many words you put in front of your identity. Does that actually make you that? And so also this idea that men can get pregnant is insanity. We transition to look like men so we don't talk about it.
How confusing for children if they see this magazine in the grocery store and with their parents, and then like parents have to like somehow explain.
Oh no, I told my kid he's just fat. That's what I said. I said he's just a fat guy.
I mean, like my friend that was like in transition when my daughter was little, it was just like, Cece really, like they just, they just feel this way. And sometimes they might look a little bit more like this or like that. And like, that was it. Like you just use age appropriate explanation for your child for that time. Yep. They don't need a lot of explanation. Nope, they don't need like a huge, like lesson. It's like, to me, it's like if the adults can't get this down and adults can't have conversations about this, then how the hell are we putting that on children?
I know. That's what I'm saying. There's just no way that a kid can even understand any of this stuff. It's the parents. When you see a YouTube channel with 5 trans kids, I'm like, done. You people are sick. That's child abuse. And you're totally telling your kids, because there's no way, first off, hardly even any way that you have 1 trans kid, but 5 and 5 non-binary kids. Come on, people. Like, what is happening here? And how are we all just letting these people abuse their children like that?
It becomes like this like status label, I think, for some people. I think some people really do but there's a lot of like people, like the rates of people that are autistic or borderline personality disorder.
That's right.
So like, just being an autistic person, you can just feel uncomfortable in who you are. Your clothes can feel uncomfortable. Like I can't wear certain things. Like I wear a lot of cotton and stretch things because that's what I feel comfortable in. Like I can't wear certain things. Like I really have an issue with that. And like, and I remember going like before puberty and stuff, like it was awkward. Like there is a lot of like young people that I see them like when they're kind of like in the middle of that, and they go like, not everybody like flowers like is a blossom. They go through some really funky stages, and you're like, you just and then they grow out of it, and some people grow out of it, and then they're just like, you're like, wow, you are stunning.
Totally.
See you on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like there's been some people I was like, whoa, this might not work out well. Like this might be cruel, but then like, they end up like, it's like the ugly duckling thing. They just, like we all have to kind of go through that. Like it's it's a rite of passage. You know what I mean?
There's no such thing as the wrong puberty. Nuh-uh, that's not true. There's a thing called puberty that helps you go. Puberty is when you go from a child to an adult. That's what puberty is. It's literally, why would we stop that? And why would we ever even think that you could actually pick up where you left off? So this year that you put the child on puberty blocker, where does that year go, people? That you keep telling me it's reversible. Where is this year? You're never going to get that year back. You now have to skip forward. And now the kid is behind. If you decide that the kid isn't trans and you take them off it, now they're behind in growth of the rest of their peers. Not only that, we don't know the long-term effects of what Lupron does to these bodies on children. We know what it does to adults, which is disastrous.
Yeah, I've been looking into the Lupron a little bit, and like just
Disastrous.
women that have taken it,
Oh
because
my
like
God.
I have like
Oh
they've
my
taken
God.
it for like things like endometriosis and stuff like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
or
All of it.
PCOS. You know what I mean? So
pubertyblockers.org. There you go. Go there.
oh,
That's my
I'll-
friend's website, who actually her whole life got destroyed from puberty blockers. She had to take Lupron as an adult. She had all those problems. It destroyed her. She's still, so now there's a huge community of women who are stepping up and talking about the damage that it has done to their bodies. And I found an 18-year-old kid who's going to come on my show with me, and she started taking Lupron at 10 because she was going through precocious puberty, which is what it was actually for, right? Which is also very rare, but it destroyed her. They told her some of the, oh no way. Now she has like, she's actually like so messed up. She thinks she's going to die from cancer now at 18 because it gave her brain cancer. It destroyed her whole body. She's only 18 years old. She's sterile.
oh.
They didn't tell her that it was going to do that. They did not, because they don't know for real.
We're not getting informed consent to
That's
these
right.
people, and that's the biggest
right.
problem is that
That's
I have is that they're not getting informed consent. Like if I, you know, like there's women that go and they want to have like a hysterectomy for whatever reason, and some women it's like because of medical purposes, you know what I mean? Like, and so they want to go and have that, and they can't have that done.
Nope,
there's women that seek hormone replacement therapy that have a hard time getting it.
Yep.
But yet with a phone visit, with a phone clinic, like a call to a clinic, and you can get, and even in places where there is no health care,
that's right,
you can get gender affirming care though. Why is that?
Yeah. And if everyone doesn't see it, it's so crazy and it's so obvious. It's just like, no, they're pushing this hard. They're pushing it hard, but I'm telling you, it's going to come back so hard. Now I think there's 13 states that have now banned children transitioning. Thank God. Oh my God. Yeah. Thank God. But now they're calling those anti-trans bills. So let me just set everybody straight here. Those are not anti-trans bills. Those are safeguarding children bills. So they're big difference. I can still transition as an adult in this country. So no, it is not affecting adults. It is for children, because children cannot make these choices. And us as adults, we know better. But these wingnut adults and these wingnut therapists and doctors are pushing all of this on it, because that's what wingnut therapists and doctors do. They want to experiment with everything. And they're not going to experiment on my kid. So I don't know about you and those people out there who are being duped into being told their kid will kill themselves, which is also bullshit, because where are all the dead kids then? There isn't any.
Yeah, no,
there isn't any.
It feels like they're just like, it's like, they're emotionally like they're taunting us. They're like, of course, like you hear that and you're like, oh my gosh, of course I don't want that for my child. You know what I mean? Like that's your worst nightmare, is that, you know what I mean? Like, and so of course if you hear something like that, you're like, no, what, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to keep them alive.
That's right. That's exactly
it's manipulation, like to the highest degree, and it's wrong. And like at the beginning of the show, like we were talking about, like I think that these lawsuits are gonna be a big factor in this. The lawsuits that are coming, there's been 2 filed now, guys. We need to be paying attention to these, because I think that this is gonna set the precedent to what will happen from here. Because 100%. When we start hitting them back with the money, when they're held accountable for it. That's a different thing. So like I'm really, really interested to find out what happens with these lawsuits.
Well, what's so sad for me is this: no money is going to change what these kids have had to endure. No money. I don't care how much money they're going to make. These kids are not going to have babies. They're not, some of them don't have boobs, so they can't they can't be, naturally feminine.
I know. I breastfed my daughter for 2.5 years, and and that gives me health benefits.
It's so sad.
It gave her health benefits. It helped her immune system. It gives me health benefits to not, to be less likely to have breast cancer. And like that they're taking that away from them. They're taking away like that opportunity.
Oh my God, they're taking away their whole being. We don't even know the effects that these kids are going to have to deal with. Let's go back to Dr. Money and those Reimer kids. That kid became an alcoholic. That kid was so abusive. He wanted to kill himself. He eventually killed himself.
Yeah,
So
both
we
of
do
them.
have, we do have a actual study that shows it doesn't work. You cannot lie to a child. You cannot change your sex, people. I don't care how much you think you can. You cannot change your biological sex. So we are telling children that we can make you a boy or we can make you a girl. That is not true. So when they grow up and they start to figure it out, like Reimer did, and then he was like, "But I feel like a boy, but I'm a girl." Why? And then like he went insane because nobody told him he was actually a biological boy or male. And so I just don't understand. No child should ever be having to make a choice like that. No child. This is ridiculous.
I think you did an interview with her too, Emmeline Dowd, who is intersex.
Oh yeah, I love her. She's great. Yeah,
isn't she? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, she's such
great.
a gem. I have to have her back on because it was been like 6 months or something since I've had her on, and like so I got to reach back out to her. She's a sweetheart. She looks better and better every time I see her.
Yeah,
like she just looks healthier.
That's right.
I mean, 6 months ago it was she looked completely like she just looks better like than she did then even.
I know.
And like I have other friends that you know what I mean that are intersex and they don't want to be like lumped into this whole community.
Sex is not trans.
It's a medical thing.
It's a medical condition. They get so mad when they're lumped into trans. It's ridiculous.
Who decided to put them on the flag? Because they don't want to be on there.
Yeah, who's making all these choices for us without asking us? Who's changing the flag without asking us? Who's adding intersex and, people of color who are already in the flag before that?
Yeah,
and like just put two-spirited. First off, put two-spirited. It's also not trans. That's an actual like Native American spiritual space. It's not trans.
Yep.
I mean, I have Native American, real Native American friends like who actually work in the cannabis space and on the reservations. And that being said, they're like, what? When I tell them that's what's happening, they're like, what? That is actually appropriate. That's real appropriation of our culture.
Yeah.
That's what I see is that people's like actual culture, like lesbians trying to be dismissed and actual women being replaced as non-men and just like what are you doing, people?
Like, don't boil me down to having just that I have a vagina and I can birth a child. Like
I know.
Fuck you. I'm so much more than that. Like
it's absurd. It's so misogynist. The whole thing.
Is.
You got to see it from that side. There's no way you can't. And it saddens me as somebody who really worked really hard to get where I'm at. And I've really been part of my community for so many years and always felt so a part of it. I lost my community and that, I will be honest, it does sadden me because I like community and I think community is important and like-mindedness. And I had to create a new community of people, which is great. I have that. But that being said, I'm just sad as an older person when this is all I wanted for people is I wanted them to be able to have what I have and I wanted insurance to pay for it. And we got all of those things. And what's happening today is so against everything that we transsexuals ever really wanted and fought for. We just wanted to have our stuff paid for, be looked at as normal people, have our passports changed and be able to walk the world. And now here we are fighting against our own community that has literally gone off the deep end and has appropriated and has made us look like complete insane weirdos. And I'm just saddened by it.
And now we're getting backlash because it's like people are saying LGB cutting the T or LGB anti, but not adding all the extra letters.
That's right. What do you blame them? You can't blame them.
And they're like, I just see like all these videos of them like freaking out. They're like, no, you can't abandon us. We're like, no, dude, you guys went way too far. Like, this is an abusive relationship. We are leaving the abusive relationship. Like, we wish you the best. We're not here to be mean to you, but like, that's not us. And we get to decide that because we weren't. And then somebody today, I think it was on something I quote tweeted that was yours. and somebody's like, well, I was about the White House thing, and they were like, well, isn't this the LGB's fault? Because they let all these people like join all this shit. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Most of the LGBT people never even like know, they don't even know about all this. They're just living their lives. Like, and somebody decided at one point that like I can't even keep up with all of it. It's like the 2SA and all the,
no, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, it's funny to watch the politicians try to say it though.
I know, it's hilarious because it's how I say it too. I don't even know I have no idea what it is anymore. I don't even know what it stands for.
I know, Lady Alex, one of our ladies here. I talked to her on the phone the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, Buck's coming on," and she's like, "Oh my God, I know Buck," and because she's like very open about how she used to like, she did like escort type work and like prostitution work, and like she's like, "Yeah, I'm an old whore," and
I'm an old whore.
She's great.
Awesome. We did a whole show on doing sex work and stuff that.
Good for you.
We should do that again. We should do
that's an important subject. I'm gonna have to head out, you guys. I gotta go.
I know we argue for 2 hours.
We could literally talk for hours, but
I know we will definitely do another show together.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It was so great to have you on, and I'm like, right in the middle of. Wow, right in the middle of Pride Month. I mean, that's just the best ever. We have to celebrate it for a month. At least I get I got Buck out of it.
Why is it a month? I'm over it. I'm just like, come on. I'm in the LGBT community. I'm over it. Can we?
I'm like, can we just like be done with this?
It sucks. I felt like I could be like a boisterous, pseudo gay guy for a moment and yell fabulous, like it was. But damn it.
Totally. Oh. Damn it. So can we celebrate something else now?
Let's celebrate something else. Let's celebrate cannabis. We can just celebrate that. That's always
we'll just take a weekend and we'll make that our Pride weekend.
That would be awesome.
And it's the crazy time. And then let's do cannabis the rest of it.
Can you tell the people where to find you at, Buck?
Oh yeah. So hey everybody, you guys can all find me on Twitter, Buck Angel, but be careful, and Instagram where I get banned constantly. Everything's Buck Angel. I have my YouTube channel, which is Buck Angel Official. TikTok I have, but I don't do it. I have somebody do it for me because I will actually throw up if I even touch that thing. So, I mean, I'm pretty much on every app out there, but I think Twitter is probably one of the more active ones for me. And that's
we can put everything in the show notes too. We'll put all your links in there, your Buck Angel, I think it's .com, your website and everything.
BuckAngel.com.
I was looking at your merch going, ooh.
Right.
Like,
be careful there.
Beard oil.
Adults only. Yeah, I have a whole line of trans male products.
Well, I think Steve can just be he can.
They're not just for trans men.
I'm flexible. My beard is not
flexible. Right on, dude. Excellent. Well, yeah, I super appreciate you guys a lot. This is how we build bridges, and this is how we sort of learn from each other. And I really want to show the world that we can totally get along with each other, and it's complete nonsense how we're acting like big babies, and like just because you're gonna vote for Trump, I hate you. I'm like, whatever, dude. That we live in a democracy. Like, who cares?
I don't care who somebody votes for.
I'm like, for him. I don't care.
Yeah, I it's funny because I have like people that are like super conservative on my Twitter. It's to like every end of the spectrum,
Me too.
And like, and one of them is like, one of the really conservative guys, like, he like loves DeSantis, and I'm just like, I'm just scrolling past that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right. That's all. You can just scroll past it. I mean, it's
like, okay.
No, and he's like so weird.
And he's like, you're one of the most balanced people. Like, he tells me that like all the time. He's like, you're just so balanced in what you say and in your approach to things. And I'm that means a lot, especially coming from somebody who is conservative, and I'm definitely more on the left.
That's right. But that proves to these wingnuts that we can have conversation.
Absolutely.
And when people shut down conversations because they're hiding something. That's just totally how I feel about it. There's no reason why we can't disagree and have a beer. There's just no reason why.
I know, right?
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous and immature.
More people need to smoke weed.
That's right. That's right. So everyone want to contact me, please reach out to me. I'm pretty accessible and all of that. So I really appreciate your time this evening, and we'll do it again, my friend.
Heck yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, thanks for putting that up there, my friend. I appreciate it.
It was great meeting you.
Yeah, right on.
Absolutely.
Right on. See you guys later.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Bye. Have a great night. Awesome. That was such a great time. This was like, I'm going to tell you guys, I was like a little like fangirl and like a little nervous about talking to Buck. Not because I was worried about the conversation, because I can have conversation with just about anybody. But I was just like, oh my gosh, I was just really excited about being able to.
Dude's a fucking legend.
Yeah, Buck is a legend. And I really, I look to him as an elder within our community and speaking the truth and not being afraid to speak the truth and not being afraid to take that, backlash, to be uncomfortable, to be so comfortable in his own skin where he can allow himself to be vulnerable and be uncomfortable and talk about the things, because like we discussed, like, it's not necessarily like easy to talk about these things. And you have to keep saying, yes, I'm a female, I was born female, I have female biology, and to have to keep affirming something that really, is part of a dysphoria that you have, that can be really hard. So I just think that it's amazing. It's courageous. And Buck has been an activist around the whole entire world. He's worked, for trans people to have transsexuals, to have rights and to help to protect the children around the entire world. It's pretty amazing.
Good show, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, come back, probably tomorrow. We'll do it again.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow.
Most
and
likely.
then wait, what's tomorrow? Friday? And then
Friday.
probably, maybe Saturday, who knows? And we'll definitely be here on Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So, I look forward to you guys, to hanging out with you guys again. And that was, I just feel so good about this show. All right. And I will pass on the information. I'll share the information that Buck shares with me about the community. The next couple of shows, I have a couple of different things. I'm not really sure what exact. I don't have anything like in particular order yet. I know next Thursday we have Vegan Succubus coming on. And we're going to be talking about healthcare and all of that. So that's going to be a great conversation, as always. For Sunday, I'm not sure what direction I'm going to go with yet, because I kind of I do a lot of like behind the scenes research on the shows. And then sometimes I end up like pulling from the research that I've done. And yes, that's you. Thank you. You guys see you guys keep me, you guys remind me, and we have some other shows where I think, Zainab, I don't know if I told you about this yet, but there was a couple of us talking about from the MPP crowd that we're talking about like maybe doing a women's panel very soon, and catching up about like how we're feeling about where things are and how are you guys are doing after all of that. But yeah, please set that reminder for the Thursday show, so you don't miss it with Vegan. And you gotta go check out her picture because she's absolutely adorable. I love the picture. I was like, when Steve showed me, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. And then he altered it and put something in her glasses. Yeah, exactly. That's what we are. That's what we are planning on doing, vegan. I think it will be a great show. It will be a great panel to do that kind of thing. And Jared Brown was like big in helping make that happen. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the super chat that we got. We really, really appreciate it. You guys really help keep us going. Oh, yeah. Through the end of the month, if you guys want to get something on the Lucky Burrito Art.com, if it's a resin piece, you can use code ALIEN at checkout. Why did we use alien? I don't know. Maybe because the aliens, landed again, Oh, yeah. Steve was on it.
I'm on it. So thanks everybody for hanging out.
Leo wants to say hi. Come here. Why are you whining at me all the way and then you back away? Come here. Can you push him over here? Come.
Go see your mom, you weirdo.
Why are you a weirdo? I know. I don't have the same head. Say hi, everybody. Oh.
Leo, he got a high butt in the air.
Is that your song?
Leo, he got a high butt in the air.
Oh, there's a little bug that got in when he let him out. He tried to eat it.
He keeps his butt really high up in the air 'cause he just don't fucking care. Leo got a high butt in the air. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right, everybody. Yes, and free Assange.
Free Assange, goddammit. Right now.
I know. All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.
Namaste.